Welcome to the Astral Weather Report. I'm Jeremy Gene Wilson with the Light Army, and I come on here every 6 days to share with you the shifts in our astral neutrino weather. The unseen energy fields that affect the way we think, the way we feel, we operate, how we interact with others. So rather than be confusion or create conflict for you, it's something you can take advantage of. And I'm going to supply you a mission to do just that today. So the theme for this next transit, July 1st through 6th, is purposeful resistance. Purposeful resistance. What can you expect mentally and emotionally? This transit, this cycle will activate some friction with the purpose. So resistance, setbacks, and even conflict might surface, might rise to the top. It's not here to stop your progress. It's not here to make you question yourself, but it's here to reveal what's truly worth your energy, what's worth your time, what's worth the investment of your cause. So people might just feel a little more easily provoked by other people or circumstances, a stronger desire. You're going to want to defend your values, your convictions, your goals, your outcomes, and you might feel some frustration when facing repeated obstacles, things that have been there for a while. So you will arrive at some greater clarity, though, about which battles are worth fighting. That's the number one game. The number one way to win tug of war is not to pull harder, it's to let go of the rope. So this isn't conflict for conflict's sake. It is a filter. This week essentially teaches us that resistance reveals commitment. Everybody's excited when they set the goal. Can you be that excited when you're meeting resistance and obstacles? Purpose determines our perseverance, our resilience, our fortitude in those moments. So the sun has moved into the 39th signature in human design. This is known as the gate of provocation. It is the gate, the catalyst. It's all about emotional awakening. In the I Ching, we call it obstruction. It's easy to see what's in the way. So in a distorted way, this can show up as just provoking other people unnecessarily. It'll feel like you're being spited in a lot of cases. Reacting emotionally, creating friction without a purpose or without a cause, right? Just being a rebel without a cause. So the way to align with this energy is to use it to catalyze growth, to help it get you clear on what you want. The difference between healthy and unhealthy anger. Unhealthy anger, if you look at Hawkins' scale of emotions, that map of consciousness, it's mostly connecting to what we don't want, which is desire still tied to fear. And in order to move up the scale, we have to just focus on what we want. When you focus on what you want, it shifts your trajectory and you're moving toward that. When you focus on what you don't want, you're heading into the dark. You're headed toward the tree. When you're riding a motorcycle or a bike, you don't turn with your arms, you turn with your head, right? Where your head turns, the handlebars turn. So it's about focusing on what you want. Challenging areas where you become complacent, or you definitely have room for growth and just awakening to a deeper truth overall. So the core lesson of the gate of provocation, the 39th signature is sometimes discomfort is the doorway to transformation. You can either have comfort or you can have growth. And so you're either green and growing or ripe and rotten. And the number one way to recognize is truly by leaning into that discomfort a little bit. The earth has moved into the 38th signature. Gate 38 in human design is known as the gate of the fighter. It's also known as the gate of purpose, the gate of conviction. There's a lot of conviction there, right? You're gonna put up your dukes and fight. So in the I Ching, we call it the hexagram of opposition. This can show up in a shadow field, in a distorted frequency, if you're just fighting everything, right? Stubborn resistance. We've all been around a dog that just won't quit trying to fight everything. Man, they exhaust themselves, they exhaust everyone around them. This is about stubborn resistance. So it's not about fighting for the sake of fighting. It's like, hey, that's a battle that's worth fighting. In your teams, in your marriage, as a parent, it's important to find what battles we both want to win, right? What is the core enemy? Maybe it's debt, maybe it's doubt, maybe it's depression, maybe it's the devil himself. But that's my point. We have to find a common enemy that is worth fighting for, so we're not being stubborn and wasting energy on meaningless battles. The way to align with this is have the courage to acknowledge where you're wrong. Have the courage to acknowledge where you can grow, where things can be better. It isn't about blame. It's not about shame. It's about progress and growth. That is where courage lives. When we can acknowledge where we are, then we can move toward where we want to be. But you have to remember our identity, our ego is always at war with that. Where you are is not who you are, right? So this is about purposeful perseverance, right? We can persevere any challenge. We can go into any, ugly place as long as we know that there is light at the end of the tunnel. If it just feels hopeless, well, that's because we haven't focused on what we want. And, I'm not here to quote scripture, but it says, we walk through the valley of the shadow of death on our way to the mountain of God, right? So it's about fighting for what truly matters. The core lesson of the 38 signature gate 38 is just that, like I said before, not every single battle deserves or is worthy of your strength. Choose the ones that will shape your destiny. You have a limited supply of fight, a limited supply of time, a limited supply of energy. Deploy it in a path that when you push and you push and push and you're willing to get it out of the mud, there is pavement to get the vehicle on, right? There is traction to be had, but you've got to be willing to realize it's going to be difficult at first and choose one that's going to shape your destiny in a positive trajectory. This next few days, avoid arguing to prove you're right just for the sake of being right. You can show up with your scoreboard, your evidence, your proof, and your case. It doesn't matter. Definitely don't become defensive when you're challenged. Fighting battles just rooted in the ego, nobody wins. Like, would you rather be right or would you rather grow? That's the whole game. So you can't react to every single provocation. You will feel spited and provoked. Some of it will feel intentional by those around you, whether it's your team, your kids, your spouse, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, the person in the parking lot that steals your parking spot. Don't react to all of it. Let go of the tug of war. Everybody's responding to this energy differently. Just don't waste energy on distractions. Get clear on what you want. Use a little OPOS, O-P-O-S. What are the outcomes I desire? What are the problems in the way of achieving those outcomes? What are the obstacles that make up those problems? And what are the solutions, right? Outcomes, problems, obstacles, solutions. That just get focused there. The way to leverage this is just create clarity on your deepest convictions. What do you want the most? What matters the most to you? For me, I want freedom and choice. I want to buy my time back. I have a little bit of debt I want to get rid of. I want to spend more time with my kids, my family. I want to travel. I want to be at more peace in my household. So what are the convictions you're willing to create structure and order and consistency that are willing fighting for, right? Use resistance as feedback and stand firm without becoming rigid. Be the flagpole. The flagpole still sways a little in a hurricane, right? But be firm without becoming rigid, so rigid that you tip over and become unplanted. Channel your energy into meaningful cases, meaningful causes, and develop resiliency through intentional challenge, right? Challenge yourself. When things are bleak, when you're hurting, when you feel broken, when you feel tired, it can be harder to find gratitude. It's harder to see the light at the end of the tunnel. But that's the game. Intentionally challenge yourself to find a worthy cause worth fighting for. The number one way to squeeze the juice out of this transit and get the highest ROI, ask, like I said, what challenge actually deserves your energy? You only have so many fucks to give. Make sure you're giving them to the right things. We've got a limited supply of those to hand around. It's like playing poker. You only have so many chips. You can't bet on every hand. You've got to make sure that you are conserving your energy by deciding what deserves it. I'd also this week just finish something difficult instead of avoiding it. Like, just sit down. There's hard shit that you've started, you've stopped, you've started, you stopped. Just get clear. The moment you have clarity, the cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek. It's boring, it's frustrating, whatever that thing is. Sit down and just complete one difficult thing instead of avoiding it. The age-old case of emotional intelligence too, just practice responding instead of reacting. All that means is there is a stimulus and there's a response. And so if you can just expand the gap between stimulus And reaction, we call that a response, or stimulus, and we react, which is instinct. That means you're a puppet to your thoughts and emotions. Just expand the gap. Sometimes exhale. Pause. Ask yourself at the top, what do I want? Exhale slowly. And you do 3 of those. And be like, hey, you know what? That makes me realize what I want for the world, what I want for you, what I want for us. And when you live from that, then our reactions are not survival based. You know, someone jumps out, to spook you, you go, and we fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. And the key is, can we expand the gap so we're not in reactivity, we're in responsiveness, and we return back to what we want for ourselves, what we want for others, and mutual desire. That's one of the biggest things I could say. So just make sure you focus a little bit more on responding versus reacting. And on that note, use a little bit more active listening. Like, we all claim to listen, but can you ask, listen, clarify, confirm, clarify, confirm, clarify, confirm, until we know we're in a mutual understanding. Strengthen a personal boundary. I would definitely, think of one area you keep shrinking or bending or flexing on, and it just has to be non-negotiable. For me, sometimes that's getting all my kids out of the house to get to the gym. And I'll negotiate on the times. Everyone's getting ready, and not everyone has their banana and their workout clothes and their shoes. No, we leave at 7:45 a.m. If we don't leave, not only do you not go to the gym, when we get back, there will be a consequence tied to that, right? Whatever that might be for you, like, set a boundary. I'm just trying to give you guys an example. It might be, hey, I sit down and say I'm going to spend X amount of time on stuff. Set a boundary. No distractions. Do not disturb mode. Maybe it's 1 day a week. A boundary is no technology from X time to X time, whether that's a day of the week, a Saturday, maybe it's no technology after 7:30 p.m. Whatever it is, set one boundary. And just, reconnect to your why before taking action. It's always why over how. The moment you have a strong why, the how finds its way into the strategy. When the why charges your state, it's always state, story, strategy. So when you've got a story that ties that why together and that elevates your state, the strategy reveals itself, whether it's good, bad, or ugly. A couple questions to be with, and I'm going to add a little segment this week that I'm going to, start to add to every week. Couple prompts internally, just what challenge is revealing what you truly value, want, and desire? What challenge, what resistance is helping you see what you really want? Most often, we don't know what we want until what we don't want shows up in its place. And we go, I don't want this, I don't want that. And that reveals to us what we do want, what I want is. Externally, just which battles deserve your energy? Which ones are you finally ready to release, let go of? You can fight a losing battle over and over and over again, or you can just let go. You can choose to let it define you, refine you, outshine you, or you can choose to leave it behind you. I let go. What battles deserve your energy? Which ones do you need to let go of? But I'm going to leave you every week with a mission, right? This is the Light Army. We're here on purpose. I'm not here to make you feel good. I'm here to help create transformation. So this week's assignment, like I said, one action, just finish a difficult task you've been avoiding. Every week, I'm going to try and give you one action. Just write it down. What is that one difficult task you've been avoiding? One awareness. Notice every single moment you're emotionally triggered before responding. Just notice it. Before you respond, before you chase, before you react, before you attempt to control, just one awareness. What is one moment you're emotionally charged, emotionally triggered before you respond? One conversation. Have the conversation you've been postponing and avoiding because it's uncomfortable. Have the conversation. It doesn't mean it's a decision, it's a conversation. And one boundary, right? Stop giving energy to one conflict that no longer serves your mission, your purpose, your highest goals, your highest outcomes for yourself and others. That's what I got for you this week. If you're watching this before Wednesday, the 1st, I have an extremely powerful breakthrough lab. If you're not coming to those, know that I've charged $1,000 a month for that level of group training. Right now it's free till we decide otherwise. You can access the replays in the school community known as the Light Army. Hop on School, SKOO.